Talk, fam. Talk, fam. Exactly. Where the facts be. I'm speaking right here, so don't at me. Whoa.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is the latest episode of Don't At Me, but it's a mashup episode today. We've got good friends, guys from Fox. We have the odd couple here, Rob and Chris. How are you guys doing today, guys?
I am great, man. That's a nice jersey you got on.
Don't lie to him. Do not
Actually,
lie.
I'm not
to
a
him.
huge Patriots fan, but
Yes, you are.
I like Tom Brady. and my partner hates him, so it makes for a good collision.
Oh, man, I lost a bet with Rob last year because of them.
You just lucky, that's all. That's what I'm gonna
So you can't be lucky 6 times. That's all I'm saying. 6 times, first time
No,
coincidence, second time circumstance, third time, fourth, fifth, sixth.
You just find new rules to break, and then that's how you find a way to win.
We'll just forget about that. We'll forget about that. Guys,
Right.
thank you again for tuning in. You guys can catch us on YouTube at Alex Himes. You can also catch us on all streaming services. And today we're going to jump right into it. This is a review right now of The Last Dance. Last night we got the episode 5 and 6. Got a lot to talk about with it. So, first off for you guys, Rob and Chris, what's your first takeaways from last night's episodes?
Chris, go ahead. Go ahead, Chris.
It was so much, to take away. Rob and I talked about this on The Odd Couple. We didn't think they were really going to address the challenges Jordan had off the court, the Atlantic City incident, the gambling, even the dream team and his situation with Isaiah Thomas in detail. And even the lack of, speaking out on social issues. And knowing that Michael Jordan had a lot of control over the content, I do give them some credit. I'm glad they addressed them. Now, whether or not they addressed them to our satisfaction is one thing, but I'm glad they did address them. I'll start with the dream team. Look, and I've heard several things. I've heard that Jordan did tell Rod Thorne and Chuck Daly he didn't want Isaiah on the team. I've heard that it was, as Jordan said last night, it was just understood. Low, I don't have to say his name. You know who I don't want to play with. I'll say this. If Jordan is man enough to come out on screen and call Isaiah an expletive, say I hate him, then I think he's man and even to say, if you want to put it on me, fine. It wasn't just me, but if you want to put it on me, that's fine. I don't care. If he's man enough to say all that, I would think he'd be man enough to say, you know what, it was me.
Yeah.
True.
And so I'll give him that. Again, I don't know exactly. I do know Rod Thorne and Chuck Daly knew Michael didn't want to play with Isaiah. Now, whether he said the name or not, who knows? Then you got the gambling. And I'm glad they addressed it. And you saw how competitive. You can see how somebody like Michael Jordan would get caught up in something like gambling.
Oh, yeah.
And there's been no evidence that I've seen that it's hurt his life or it's hurt any of his, people around him. So, it's something he's done that I don't know that's harmed him. So you can do what you want to do. But you saw he was he said he has a competition
Issue
problem.
Yeah.
And he was gambling with the security guard for $20,
Yeah,
Oh,
quarters.
Right. When Bill Winnington said, he wanted to gamble with us playing blackjack for $1 a hand.
Just to take our money.
He's just obsessed with the competition. You even saw that with Clyde Drexler. He
True.
didn't even like Clyde being mentioned in the same breath as him. So that was a takeaway. And then I thought the social issues, which I do, I believe that African-American athletes, while I respect to each his own and your right to do or not do what you want, I believe that looking at our situation as a people, we have a responsibility to speak out and address certain issues because they are some of the most powerful and beloved and most importantly, irreplaceable African Americans in this country. And so they have Michael Jordan can't be replaced. If a Michael Jordan did what Colin Kaepernick did, he'd be in the league, kneeling in the league, you know. But a Colin Kaepernick, a Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, a Craig Hodges, they can be replaced. But there are some that can't be. And so that gives them a certain ability to address certain issues. And I just think that I hear people say, well, nobody expects that from white athletes. But the history and the current situation and plight for African Americans is completely different than that of white Americans. And so, yeah, the whole system's been geared toward white success. Let's face it. And for most of the time in this country, it's been geared against Black achievement. And so we do all have a burden that comes with being African American in a historically racist country. And so that's why I think that a Michael Jordan and some of these other great athletes should have done more when they had that platform. I do recognize that it is saying, like, him becoming the first or a Black owner in the NBA, that's an achievement, and that's advancing the race. So I recognize that. I know now he's building the medical centers in North Carolina, so that's great. So I'm not saying he hasn't done anything, but I do think that there's a responsibility that all of us have. To whom much is given, much is required. Some's required of Rob and I. And those on a higher level, more may be required. But I think if we as a people still need to be unified in many ways to help lift all of us up. And I think our athletes, I wish they understood that more.
I agree. I think that maybe they need to, I don't know what they talk about like at the symposium or like the little different camps they have for like the young guys coming into the league. But I think that is something that, needs to be brought up, because when you have this type of power and notoriety, that you can use it to your advantage. So Rob, what you think about
quickly before Rob, here's one of the challenges though, because I've talked to some of the heads or former heads of like the Players Association. Yeah. You're not just representing African Americans. So even though the NBA is 75% Black, you still have white players, you have Europeans, you have Asian, so it's harder to address Black issues. You can address issues that'll help everybody, including Blacks. But that's why I would like to see some type of union of Black athletes, where like NABJ. We're able to address Black issues. National Association of Black Journalists. So we address these issues. They need something like that for athletes.
No, I agree. So Rob, what you think about the past 2 episodes of Last Dance, man?
I think Chris was right. We had talked about this because we didn't know, because it's Jordan's baby, how much he was going to expose. So I was pleasantly surprised. I'm like Chris. Was it thorough and journalistic investigation reporting, that kind of thing? No. But he cleared up some stuff. He talked about stuff. I'm with Chris at this point. You're bulletproof. You're Michael Jordan. You're an NBA owner. The Jordan brand is as strong as possible. I mean, just admit it. I didn't want Isaiah to play. Even last night with the Harvey Gantt, like not to having the endorsement. Dude, all he could have said last night was, I made a mistake. I shouldn't have been like Jesse Helms was a known bigot. Who's going to go against you for endorsing a guy? And don't forget, earlier in the documentary, he talks about Wilmington, North Carolina, how he hated that place. Yeah, sure. He said, that's his hometown. He said it was racist. What did he say? I couldn't wait to get out of there. Wow. Yep. So all that's on the table. So he could have said, I made a mistake. I could have probably helped that guy beat Jesse Helms, right? Make a better place of North Carolina for Black people. And the people who have still held that against them, and there are people who look at Jordan sideways, could have said, okay, people make mistakes and you miss an opportunity to make a difference, right? Yeah. And you're 30 years removed. I didn't buy it 30 years ago, and I didn't buy it, like this whole idea, like even last night saying like, well, I'm not an activist. I don't want black athletes to be on a soapbox about everything. That's not what we want.
Mm-hmm.
But there are times you can make a difference. Don't forget, Tiger Woods is probably Mr. Switzerland. He's going to be on the fence, right, on any kind of sideways topic or controversy, especially dealing with black people. He just don't want to touch it. But you remember his first commercial with Nike? His first commercial with Nike was about golf country clubs that wouldn't let him play. It wasn't because he was Caucasian or whatever he made up, because he was black.
Yeah.
Am I right?
No,
Combination.
Whatever it was, Chris. I'm sorry. But you get my point.
no, yeah.
That's Tiger Woods. And then they got to him and was like, I don't think you should go down that route because you don't want to get the white people mad at you and then they're not going to buy you your golf equipment or, like this is the brainwashing that goes on. Seriously.
No,
And
true.
all I'm saying is not every topic. I don't want them to chime in on everything. We've seen, Chris and I bring this up on the radio show all the time. College football players at Missouri with nothing, no money, their scholarships hanging in the balance. They all banded together and were like, what's going on campus, we're not going to tolerate. No more practice and no game. What happened? The chancellor and the president of the university were ousted in a couple of days. That's how powerful you are. Right. And that's all we're talking about. And Chris said it again. When you're given these things, much is expected. And I just think Michael could have done that. So I was happy to see them address those things. I really was. He could have done more, but at least he didn't act as if he could have just glossed it over and moved forward. But I was happy with the episode.
Too dope, yeah. I loved it.
It was super well done, and I think that in reference to what we're talking about with Jordan and his lack of using his platform to actually speak out for activism, right, for what's going on in the nation at the time, especially in regards to the bigot who was getting reelected, right? I think that at that time we had talked about how, it could have been just said in jest, like in the back of the bus after a practice, oh, I'm not voting for that guy, or I don't care, like he wears Nikes too, whatever it may have been that he said. And now all these years later, we're looking back on it. And, hindsight's 20/20. And we always talk about how, you can apologize and how you can say this and that, and it won't make up for it now. But I agree with you guys that he should have at least touched on it more so and just said outright, yeah, I was wrong. And that's all it takes. It's 3 words. 4 words, actually. Yeah, I was wrong.
That's it. Hey, so question to you guys. So, they brought up Kobe and as longtime media members, did you guys know that their relationship was that close? Because for me, growing up a Lakers fan and just growing up a fan of Jordan and Kobe, you didn't really know that they were that close or that connected because, there wasn't a Twitter, Instagram for them to post videos and pictures of them hanging together. So you kind of just thought that it was just respect from a distance. But did you guys know of any stories of them being so close?
I did not know, and I don't think very many people knew at all. I think a lot of people were surprised when Michael Jordan talked about how close they were at the memorial service for Kobe. Mm-hmm. And you know what? And I give them credit. To me, that shows a couple things. Number one, it shows that they had a sincere friendship because they, some guys, they flaunt their friendships.
Right.
They flaunt their celebrity. I mean, who wouldn't? A lot of guys would love to be known as, Jordan. I talk with Jordan all the time, and I'm kind of his protege, and he's bringing me up. Or if you're in Jordan's position, I'm helping out this young kid. I'm passing on my skills, the torch, so on and so forth. They didn't care anything about that, which tells me it was sincere. And secondly, it tells me they really were focused on, or at least Kobe's aspect, it was all about improving as a player. Mm-hmm. It was all about improving as a player. It wasn't to be discussed on SportsCenter, for people to know how cool we are and what great. Wow, that's really nice of Michael to do that. So I thought that was really good. And no, but to answer your question, I don't think very many people knew that at all.
Yeah, and Chris, I think you're 100% right. You don't have to brag about that. That's you know what I mean? Like it's you're having a friendship with somebody.
No, hey, no banana boat.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say. That's what social media does, man.
I'm not even saying that it's insincere. They're obviously on vacation, so
Yeah.
they're friends. But I'm just saying, like, some people do that. I'm not saying that's the case with that crew,
Yeah.
but some people do that.
That's the trend of today's NBA, though. Everyone has to show off where everyone is with whom everyone is. You know, we always talk about how the game's gotten friendly.
Yeah, I just don't think that like in that situation, and Kobe really idolized him and talked like him and walked like him. I mean, you want to talk about, so it makes sense that they would have a friendship. Don't you think, Chris?
Yeah. I mean, Kobe, we always say he's a facsimile of Michael Jordan. He's the closest thing you'll ever see to Michael Jordan. You know, his game was very similar. And like you said, Rob, even off the court, you know, the way
I remember in radio interviews, I swear, or where I'm not at the TV or whatever, and I would listen to Kobe and go, he sounds like Jordan.
Yeah.
like it was like that.
Right.
Yeah, that's crazy. Hey, so I don't know if you guys heard this morning, Charles Barkley, he came out and he said that he felt that first run was a better team than the second one because he felt that Horace Grant was an all-around better player. And
Dennis Rodman.
Yeah, then Dennis Rodman. So he gave them something offensively and defensively where Rodman was mostly defense and, you know, rebounding. What do you guys feel about that? Who are you guys taking, that first repeat or the second?
Well, Horace was definitely a better all-around player. I mean, Dennis Rodman averaged 2 shots a game. Think about that. 2 shots a game when he played with the Bulls. He was a better defender and rebounder than Horace. And Scotty was better the second three-peat. Jordan was smarter, not as athletic. So, you know, in the second three-peat, he might be right. Those first teams, Rob, you know, I mean, they, you know, those first teams were great, but yeah, we saw they almost lost to the Knicks, you know, in '93. So I think you have to historically, we can all have our own eye test, but I think historically you just have to say the '96 team was the best because they won 72. They pretty much ran through the playoffs. And Jordan was, he obviously always was motivated, but he had an extra incentive that summer and that season to come back and reestablish himself as the best player in the world. Because when he left that season where he came back from baseball, he was no longer viewed as the best player in the world. Yeah. It was Olajuwon. And, you know, Orlando had made it tough on him. Nick Anderson had said, you know, 23 used to fly. I'm paraphrasing. You might remember that quote, Rob. Something like 23 used to fly, 45, not so much. Something right. And so I think you had a super motivated Jordan. So I would have to go with that 96 team is the best.
Yeah, I'm with Chris. I know we're agreeing a little bit too much here.
I know.
I'm kind of surprised. This is the first time I've seen you two agree on so much.
Odd couple.
No, but when it comes to this is stuff that Chris and I are very passionate about, and we've seen. It's different for guys who haven't seen both guys, seriously. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I started covering the league in 1987. I was right there. I was at those games. I was at the migraine headache game. I was at the Craig Elo game. There were many Memorial Days in Chicago at Chicago Stadium where I covered the big playoff game. I mean, so I really feel like a piece of it. I was an NBA beat writer during that time. I wasn't a columnist yet. So all my focus was on the NBA for about 4 or 5 years. And so I really feel close to this. I really, really do. And I think that's why there's unwavering. I really believe Jordan is that guy. And I think younger people who didn't really get to see him and have only seen basically LeBron, watching this will give them a better understanding and respect for Jordan, just about what he had to go through. And here's the other thing that we always talk about. He wasn't Jordan wasn't embraced the minute he showed up. People were like, "This dude, yeah, he can score, he can dunk, but he ain't. Oh, he don't make nobody better. He's not going to win." Am I right, Chris? He ain't
right.
Gonna win.
No, that's what people, people want to act like we just fawn over Jordan. And again, you got to see a little of that last night, with the whole Atlantic City stuff and the game.
He got attacked. He got attacked by the media.
Yep, the Jordan rules, all that, and you can argue, and look, we're media, so it's fair game and stuff. But you can make an argument that Jordan's trip to Atlantic City, what if he says he got back at midnight? I think the column in the New York Times said 2:30 a.m.
Yeah, 2:30.
Make an argument that that's just his free time. He's doing what he wants to do. What's the big deal? If Rob or me went down to Atlantic City and did that, the day before a game, before we had to write a column or be on the air, it wouldn't be a big deal. True. So you can make that argument. And so the fact is, though, it became a huge story. So this notion that Jordan was just treated with kid gloves is clearly not true. And that's another thing you saw yesterday was the toll that fame took on Jordan.
Yeah.
For whatever reason that he retired, and maybe we'll see that in episode 7, in 93, there's no doubt a contributing factor was burnout.
Mm-hmm.
Burnout, from, just the all the pressure that came with being Michael Jordan, not being able to go anywhere and do anything and be on your own and be a normal person to some degree, always having to be on. And that can wear at you. And here's another thing. As much as LeBron is the face of the NBA and best player in the world, arguably still, he's the face of the league, but not to the extent that Jordan was.
True.
Jordan was the league. The league was defined by Michael Jordan. For all the other great players, it was defined by Michael Jordan. I guess the best thing I can equate it to is how for the, before LeBron came to LA, the East was defined by LeBron James.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, who's getting through him? Nobody's beating him. And they said that about the whole league with Jordan. So as much pressure as LeBron has on him as the face of the league, and it's, with the technology, social media, the debate shows, it's a lot more scrutiny, I think, than Jordan went through. However, Jordan had to carry that burden of being the face, neck, arms, torso, legs of the league by himself. LeBron, there's a Kevin Durant, there's a Steph Curry,
there's a Kobe Bryant.
They get some attention. With Jordan, it was him, period.
And I think the funny part that I notice is that we watch this documentary and we hear about how Jordan gets scrutinized for gambling and going to Atlantic City one night, right? We don't talk about how Dennis Rodman goes for 48 hours on a trip to Vegas and scrutinize him at a time when Dennis Rodman is technically at that point a bigger celebrity than Michael Jordan was. People in my generation really don't understand and know that Michael Jordan, in terms of celebrity status, Dennis Rodman was a bigger celebrity than Michael Jordan at that time.
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't go that far.
Really?
Yeah, just because Jordan was like Michael Jackson, like just transcendent. Like I don't think you got stars like we talked about it, Rob, last week. You got Prince, or you had Prince. You had whoever else was big at that time. But Michael Jackson was just on this another level. Yeah. Everybody loved him. And Jordan, I think, was similar. I get what you're saying. Dennis Rodman was the one on the, cover of some magazines, and just
he was a pop star too.
He was a socialite.
Yeah.
But Jordan was just, Jordan was just huge.
Yeah, I think the Rodman thing was he was so out there. Yeah, a lot of people knew him, and you know what I mean, and what he was going through. But I still think the Jordan name, Jordan brand was still the biggest thing going. I mean, I don't remember a time when Michael wasn't the guy or wasn't, right. You know what I mean? Like when he went to baseball, do you remember? I mean, I covered his first, Chris, that's another one. I covered his first baseball game in Florida during.
How was that?
How was that?
Where did he go, 2 or something?
Huh?
2 strikeouts, something like that.
Yeah, but it was, and I think he had an infield hit, but it was a zoo, like the coverage. It was unbelievable. So I got to see a lot of that stuff. It was great.
All right, can I ask you guys one question? We always hear about these conspiracy theories that the gambling side of things led to Jordan's first retirement. Is there any merit to that, actually? Because I personally don't believe so. I happen to think it's what you mentioned earlier, Chris, is that,
he was burnt out.
Yeah, he's just burnt out and he needed some time off.
Yeah, look, there's been obviously speculation. That's what you're referring to. One of my colleagues, Harvey Ayrton, former colleagues at the New York Times, wrote the book Money Players with Armin Katayan, and they kind of, talked about that. And those are 2 great reporters. But to my knowledge, I don't believe that was the case. I haven't seen enough evidence for me to come out there and say, yeah, that's what happened. And I hate to put that out there when I don't know for a fact that that's what happened. So I do, like I said, I think he was very burnt out. And I also think, remember, Rob knows this, winning 3 straight at that, the only person to do that, nobody had done that since Bill Russell.
True.
We saw it with the Kobe Shaq Lakers, and, we've seen a bunch of teams win 2 straight since then. But at that time, I mean, heck, it had been 20 years since anybody had won 2 straight when the Lakers did in 87 and 88. So winning 3 straight, obviously the best individual player in the world. I think he was burnt out. He felt like I've conquered everything. Like, it's known I'm the baddest player ever. And he was ready to step away. And so I think he needed a break. I really think he needed a break. But Rob may know some more.
No, I mean, we all heard the stuff and the talk, and that the league didn't want to suspend him. And
yes, that's what I'm referring to.
Yeah, I mean, we've always heard that. And I think when there's smoke, there's fire. It made sense. It didn't make sense for a guy. Granted, he loved baseball. He played it in high school. But here's the greatest basketball player trying to go play baseball at that time was ludicrous. And if you remember that, I remember vividly the retirement where it was about going home and spending time with his kids and family. And then he's on a bus in Birmingham, Alabama. Seriously, like you went from the NBA to minor league baseball on a bus. You remember he had to he bought a great bus for the team.
Nice
yes, because he was like, if I'm gonna have to drive around in this, I'm gonna need something better than what the team would actually give minor league players. I mean, seriously, it doesn't make sense. I can't buy it. I can't buy it. Stepped away from the game and the fame to go to play minor league baseball. And I know he loved baseball, so I'm not questioning.
Because it looks like they're going to deal with that in the next episode, So it'll be interesting to see how they deal with it, and if there are any new revelations or anything. Obviously, I don't think he's going to say I was suspended.
Yeah, right. Like that was in my notes too. I'm like, there's no way he's going to admit that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they kind of try to deal with this.
Look, if he's not going to apologize for endorsing a racist candidate, then he's definitely not going to just outright say on television.
He didn't go against him.
Okay, yes. Let me rephrase that. If he's not going to publicly go against someone that is a known bigot, that's what I mean.
Yeah. Right.
There's no way that he's going to say that he did that and was suspended.
Hey, so just to switch gears, hey man, we thank you guys once again for joining us. Don't at me, Michael and Alex here with the odd couple joining us, man. We thank you guys so much. And I see, Chris, you got the Super Bowl hat on. That's from this year, am I right?
Yep.
So the team that won that Super Bowl, we have to talk about them because I am a Kansas City Chiefs fan. And
how long have you been a Chiefs fan? 2 years?
No,
I swear to God, that is literally how long he's been a Chiefs fan.
I've been a Chiefs fan since they had Steve Bono. Okay. If y'all remember Steve Bono. So
Steve Bono? I remember Sonny Bono. Steve Bono.
But yeah, I've been a fan. because I grew up and my dad will always talk about Marcus Allen and Joe Montana. Then they both end up joining the Chiefs, and I was like, oh, this is my team.
Okay.
Man, so I want to know, like, do you guys think that they are the clear-cut favorite to repeat as the Super Bowl? Because I know you have the Ravens, the Niners making big moves, Tampa Bay with Tom Brady now. Do you think anyone can challenge them, and if so, who?
I mean, look, it's tough to win it's tough to win back-to-back Super Bowls.
True.
You know, it's who the Patriots have done it. Who's done it other than the Patriots in recent? You know,
nobody, because that's how hard it is.
Yeah.
Right. So while I look on the paper and say I think the Chiefs should be the favorite, I mean, again, it's difficult to do, and I think Baltimore is very good. I'm really interested in seeing what Baltimore does. And Rob and I talked about, you know, will Lamar Jackson go over 1,000 yards rushing? I said he would. Rob, you know, makes a good point. He won't. I think that's, you know, it's very possible he doesn't because defenses will adjust. So it'll be interesting to see, you know, does he have the same success or even close to it this year that he did last year? And then I think San Francisco's obviously got the great defense. They got to be feeling like they should have won last year's Super Bowl. So those would be the two teams you think are going to challenge them the most. But look, I like Tampa Bay. I'm gonna have some lemon pepper wings on for free because Tampa Bay gonna make the playoffs and maybe go deeper. So I think on paper the Buccaneers look really good. They got Tristan Wirfs to bolster the offensive line. They obviously have tons of weapons in the passing game for Brady. The defense was improving last year, and I think without a quarterback throwing 30 interceptions, the defense is going to be much better.
True.
Man, I tell you what, I think Tampa, unless Brady falls off a cliff, which at 43, I think they're going to be very tough. So I would say the Chiefs deserve to be the favorite, but again, it's tough to repeat. So anybody that says, oh, they're the definitive favorite, there's nobody can play with them, I don't think that's accurate.
I haven't seen Chris this excited since the Cleveland Browns got OBJ.
Look at you in the Browns gear.
I know, right?
Is that say Beckham on the back?
No, it don't. But everybody gets so caught up, and the big thing is you just don't know where Brady you're getting at 43, and I think that's a real concern. And I get it on paper. The Browns on paper look like they were going to be unbeatable, and they look great. I just think you got to see once it gets on the field and, you know, where Brady is and how it all puts together. Does Gronk have anything left?
Yeah.
What do the players feel like that, you know, like, oh, that's his favorite guy. We were down here last year and Jameis Winston threw 30 touchdowns. And you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of other things that have to go with it. But I'm also here to say I'm not buying that Kansas City's going to win the Super Bowl automatically and they can't be challenged. Football is very difficult to repeat. Mm-hmm. It just is. Injuries, a tip pass. You know, like there's so many things that can go, and it's hard.
The Buffalo,
you know, when you think about the Buffalo Bills going to 4 straight Super Bowls, I mean, that's like inconceivable. Am I right? Think about that.
That's why Marv Levy's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah. That's why Marv Levy
naysayers or one naysayer.
To have that dubious distinction. You trying to get into the Playboy Mansion, you out front or you inside? I'm trying to get.
Hey, that's further than most people get.
That's right?
You can say.
That's true. And what do y'all think about the Cowboys, man? Why would they I don't get why would they sign Andy Dalton to this deal where you already trying to figure it out with Dak. And
Des said it best. Des said it best.
If it was Tony Romo, I believe that he would have a deal signed and they would just move on. But because it's Dak, they're making it really tough. And then you go get a guy who's a guy who can lead the team to the playoffs. It's like, what type of message are they sending Dak Prescott?
I think it's a threat.
Man.
I mean, they didn't need a backup. They already had a backup. A lot of teams.
Chris, you're right on. This is a real threat. This is like, dude, if you don't sign, we can put Andy Dalton in there with the team that we have. I'm sitting. Right? Andy Dalton made the playoffs.
They could make the playoffs with Dalton.
And look at the weapons they have for him.
He's a legitimate quarterback. He's a above average quarterback.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'd like to know exactly what the terms, because the last thing I heard was that they had somewhat maybe agreed on the money, but the Cowboys wanted it to be a 5-year deal. Dak wants it to be 4. So I don't know if that's all it is. I get Dak 1 and 4 because he wants to re-up, soon.
Mhm.
So I think it's just I don't buy that this has nothing to do with Dak. I think this is definitely, and it may not even be, like I said, it may not be a few $1 million. Maybe they've essentially agreed on the money because they gave $3 million Andy Dalton.
Yeah.
So
True.
you could easily throw $3 million on top of Dak, but Dak may be saying, "Look, I don't want 5 years." So I wish I knew exactly what the holdup was.
So do you guys think this Jordan Love situation signals a potential end to the Aaron Rodgers era, or do you think that it signals something else entirely?
Well, look, it's obvious that they hope that Jordan Love will be the replacement for Aaron Rodgers. It's just as simple as that. It's really a repeat of what happened with Favre and Rodgers 15 years ago. You don't draft a quarterback in the first round unless you think he's going to be your quarterback of the future. And I think they're looking at it like it's a perfect situation because he clearly needs development. He clearly isn't ready, but he clearly also has major league talent. So you're thinking if he can, 2-3 years under Rodgers, then he'll be ready to go. In some ways, it's smart. Now, you didn't draft any. I think they thought that with that second round pick, the draft being so deep at receiver, that they were going to be able to get that receiver in the second round with 62nd pick, I think they had. But all the receivers happened to be gone, so I think that kind of backfired on them. But I also think it shows, look, Aaron Rodgers has not been the Aaron Rodgers of old in the last 2 years. It's as simple as that. His QBR last year was lower than ever. It was lower than Tom Brady's. His passer rating wasn't anything special. And so I think it showed a little bit. The question is, can Rodgers carry that team anymore? Because now you do have a great receiver in Devontae Adams. You got a good running back in Aaron Jones. You got a stellar, a very good defense. So can Aaron Rodgers be what he was 5 years ago? If so, I think they got a good shot. But I think there are serious question marks. And will this motivate Rodgers to turn back the clock if indeed he's capable? But I think Brett Favre is right. I don't think he'll end his career in Green Bay. I think if he wants to keep playing longer and like 4, 5, 6 years more, he's going to be somewhere else doing it.
He might be in Vegas.
Well, I mean,
possible.
What Brett Favre said, a lot of great quarterbacks have finished their career. So it's not earth-shattering. It's just the history of the league.
This is Aaron Rodgers' uncle speaking.
So. Oh,
God. Tom Brady's in Tampa Bay eating wings at Hooters, of all places, wearing that godforsaken uniform.
Man.
You're telling me.
I like those uniforms.
Pewter. Not the creamsicle ones that they had years ago. Remember those?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Those are legendary.
It'll be interesting to see second year, with this new coach and with the offense and what they're trying to do, and just find out where they are. They won 13 games. They won a division. They won the NFC Championship game. We'll see. But I'm with you. I'm with Brett Favre. If he wants to play 5 or 6 years, it will not all be in Green Bay. I agree with that.
I just think it sucks because for a team that was 13-3, it looked like they needed speed at receiver to, combat what the Niners can bring. And you added no receivers, no speed for Rodgers to where he has to look like Rodgers from 5 years ago just to be competitive against these top-notch teams. And I don't think they helped at all. And it just show to me that they're kind of like, hey, I don't think we should have been that good last year. So we're going to try to do what we can, but we got our young guys. So when we eventually push Rodgers out.
Yeah, they're setting up to getting him out the door. I have 3 teams I think you guys would be interested in for Aaron Rodgers going to. And you can tell me which one you think is the best destination. Your favorite, Rob, the New England Patriots.
Oh, God.
The Jacksonville Jaguars. And the Philadelphia Eagles.
Oh, no.
Yup. 3 teams that are good trade.
First of all, remember, he's not going anywhere for 2-3 years.
It's 2 or 3 years. It ain't happening.
Right.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Right.
I'm excited.
Aaron Rodgers is not. Jordan Love is not going to replace him next year. That's just
not even close.
It really is going to be a Favre situation where he's going to be on the bench for 3-4 years.
Aaron Rodgers was on the bench for what, 3.5, 4 years?
3 years.
Yep. And those teams, I think Philly, obviously they got Wentz, who if he's healthy, they're fine with. But if he's not healthy, they think Jalen Hurts is their guy.
True. I like Hurts too.
New England would be interesting, as great as Rodgers is, with Belichick, would they feel like he wants to ad lib a little, too much? That'd be interesting. And who is it? Jacksonville? No.
And they had that dynamite defense, but not anymore. So
Yeah.
They got Gardner Minshew. That's all they need, right?
Stash.
Well, guys, this has been the latest episode of Don't At Me. Thank you again to the odd couple, Rob and Chris. Thank you guys so much for coming on. We really appreciate it, guys.
Man.
Yep, we'll do it again, man. We appreciate you.
Definitely. Keep up the good work, guys, with your podcast, and keep grinding.
Thank you,
Yes,
guys.
sir. Sorry,
Stay
once again,
home,
thank
stay
you,
safe,
guys.
and stay healthy.
Tune in to the Odd Couple tonight.
There we go.
Yep, we got
4 to
you.
7 Pacific, 7 to 10 Eastern.
There we go. You heard it from the man himself, and I'm pointing into the square that he is on my screen.
Hey, so thank you guys so much. We thank everyone for tuning in that's watching us on YouTube. Hey, make sure you guys subscribe to our page and show us love on Instagram, Mike Hill the PG, Twitter, Mike Hill the PG. Alex, let them know.
At HymesLA, HYMESLA.
Hey, shout out to our guys, the OGs. That's what I like to call you guys. The odd couple.
Don't let that gray hair fool you.
But,
All
hey,
right, fellas.
yeah, thanks a lot, man.
Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
Talk fam, exactly, where the facts be. I'm speaking right here, so don't at me, whoa.